This is the funniest episode of the Dick Cavett Show that you will ever see. Author Camille Paglia was on there promoting her book, Sexual Personae, and she may be like the proto-canceled person, because she was a radical feminist. When I mean radical that the feminists couldn't stand her theories and her ability to logic and to think and to talk quickly. And this episode has got two intellectual, nerdy people sitting there talking so fast. They generated so many lines of dialogue. I noticed it, and Cavett commented on it to close the show, because they used to, in the old days, sell transcripts of the shows for $5 or $10. Now we just point and click. But anyhow, this is hilarious television. Entertaining. You may not agree with it, but you can handle it. You're a big girl or boy or whatever you identify as. And isn't it funny? We never even talked about this in the old days. Cavett did a little bit here at the end. He asked her a question. A personal question. Shows you how different times are. Then you just probed a little teeny bit into people's personal lives. Now we wave the flag, whatever flag you wave. So, the U.S. blues flag, you think I'm going to go there with the Grateful Dead stuff? You could. A lot of people are doing the U.S. blues with flag waving right now.
Here we are, and I'm Dick Cavett, and she has described herself as a little girl with a pornographic mind, unquote. A critic called her the steel-plated Madonna of American intellectual life. How's that for a mouthful? She teaches at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia, and her book, Sexual Personae, has created apoplexy. It's not too extreme to say. Among feminists, for one, academics of all kinds, it's been that, to coin another cliche, bombshell sort of book. And Camille, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm in the usual bind.
Yes.
People who claim to know you have said that the first A in your name is a broad A, and others have said it's a strong A. Would Paglia be close enough without
Paglia.
being correct?
Yes, Paglia.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good. We've resolved that.
All
That's
right.
the most controversial thing we'll talk about. I hope you won't be
okay.
disappointed. Maybe a little later. Oh, another thing you've said about yourself, you have a gift for the pungent quote, is
Yes.
I am the most obnoxious woman. Now, forgive me if I forget whether it was of the century or in the history of the world.
I think it was in world history. Yeah.
Was it? I mean,
yes,
you didn't want
I'm
to
the
leave
most
out
obnoxious woman. Well, definitely, I'm the most obnoxious woman, certainly alive today.
From here back, you'll allow a worse one could come along.
Yeah, Katharine Hepburn used to be in the 30s, very abrasive, but she's mellowed.
Is that the kind of thing you mean, the abrasive kind of woman who maybe unsettles men with their mind and their
Aries, you know, Betty Davis, Joan Crawford. I mean, we are we're loathed in our youth because we're just so obnoxious. Then as the years go on, people think, oh, what a cute little lady, what a feisty little energetic lady. So now I'm beloved of many.
It's the idea of not being the old idea of a little lady, then.
Yeah, I don't mind being a little dotty, dotty little lady. I don't mind that.
You don't?
No,
oh, okay.
No,
well,
no.
If I treat you as anything else,
Right,
please
okay.
let me know. Let me get all these out of the way at once so I can dispense with my homework. Quote, if civilization were left in the hands of women, let's call this a paraphrase, that we would still be in the grassroots, or we would still be living in grass huts.
That's it. That's it. Mm-hmm.
I butchered it the first time, but I hooked it the second time.
Yes.
So I assume that's one of the things that has upset people, that quote. And clearly, we'd have to admit it was a little provocative.
Well, it was intended to be. Now, it's all about like men's aptitude and genius for construction. I mean, because in my book, I say the George Washington Bridge is like a work of art, and that all the great the roads, the capitalist distribution network, the electric lights, automobiles, all these things are the product of the male minds. And my experience still is that female auto mechanics are rare. It still is the case. That,
not unknown, though.
It's not unknown, especially in California, but it's difficult to find them. And as a very free woman, see, I began noticing I'm a tremendously independent woman. I love to drive, and it's so humiliating when one little thing goes wrong in the car. You're on the side of the road, and men start stopping and say, "Well, little lady, let's see what's wrong with this car." Okay, and then you have the hood up, and then the men come with the tow truck, the men at the garage, the men call the men for the parts, on and on the men. Then I begin to realize that my freedom as a woman, as a modern woman, was purchased at the expense of male labor. And I began to see my dependency on men in ways that were unpalatable, but I have accepted.
Oh, but you don't resent it. Or do you?
No, I know, but I used to want to be totally free.
Now, is that the difference between you and the feminists?
Yes, yes.
Is it?
Because I'm a very strong woman, and therefore I can admit male strength where I see it. Whereas these weak women blame. They bitch, kvetch. See? Yeah.
Was it something wrong with me that once I was in a car with a woman, another person who happened to be a woman, I started to say, I hope, and something went wrong, and she said, it's either the differential or the universal joint, and went out and flung up the hood and worked on it. And
That's rare.
I felt emasculated for a good 28 days.
You're an intellectual, though. You're a Yale. That's different anyway.
Well,
that's a different category. So this is the problem.
I didn't ask to be born this way.
This is the problem. You see, the feminists are basing their model of the ideal human male on people they know, which usually are literate men in the media, men in academia, and most men are not like that. Most men in America are not like that, plus most men in the world. Okay, I'm basing my model of manhood on the reality of history and on the reality of world culture. See, feminism is always in an angry state today. Now, I'm a feminist, right? I'm trying to bring back an old kind of feminism that stresses independence, self-reliance, personal responsibility, and not blaming other people for your problems, okay?
Yeah. Are you on anything, by the way?
No,
I've never
I'm a
heard
natural
anybody
speed
talk
freak.
so fast.
Natural speed freak. This is Italian adrenaline, absolutely. I'm the 60s. I'm the speed freak element of the 60s, without drugs. Drug-free adrenaline.
I hope that wasn't a rude male question on my part.
No. That was like a normal human question about me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because I feel tremendously tired to talk fast, and I can't even talk that fast because I lose track of my thought and I don't even know what I'm saying. So I shall now...
I'm like Lily Tomlin. Remember the fast talker? She used to do that. I'm like that.
It's also a very effective technique for upstaging.
Oh, yes.
I know you weren't aware of that.
No,
but,
I didn't mean to. Am I upstaging you?
The audience's attention tends to go to the fast speaker.
Dear. Well, it's riveting for... I'm a teacher, and this wakes people up. 8 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. They have to, they have to wake up. Or it's like a Nazi interrogation booth in my classes.
Yeah. I wasn't complaining about it at all. But the idea of all those women who haven't built the pyramids, who haven't invented the light bulb, we don't know about the wheel, of course, do we?
No.
But are you going so far as to say that it's a lack of a gene or a hormone or lack of opportunity?
Not at all, no.
I mean, if you're home churning butter and twirling out socks, how many chances do you have to invent the incandescent bulb?
No, you see, what I'm saying in my book, this is the result of 30 years of thinking about this, all right, is that women are confident in their own identity. They don't have to prove that they are women to themselves. And from the moment they have their periods, they know they're women. But men are born in the shadow of a woman. They're born of a female matriarch, and the entire anxiety of a man's life is to prove he is a man to himself. He has to get free of woman. All right? So what I'm saying is that in culture, man's whole effort, to get away from the hearth, all the tool making in the bridge building and the pyramid building and so on. These are all attempts to escape from woman's dominance. That's my view of the universe. Woman's dominance, not male oppression and female victimage, which is this weepy soap opera that the feminists are always projecting, okay? But rather, this idea that men are strong and women are strong, but in different realms, all right? And that if a woman wants to achieve, you let her achieve. She can achieve if she wants. But how rare is the woman like me, the monomaniac, the woman absolutely driven by obsession to the enormous creative project, to the mutilation of social relationships and so on. There are very few women like me. I've begun to see that. I mean, originally 30 years ago, I had hoped that all women would be like me, and now I realize that most women are not happy pleasing their own egos. But I'm like Betty Davis, someone who's just, they had to beat her into the grave with a shovel, that woman, right? She was like a mummy. You know what I'm talking about? At the end, she was just like nothing was left but the willpower, the Aries willpower. That's like me.
It is odd, I may say, risking making even more enemies than I now have, to find someone of your intelligence having a strict belief in astrology.
Yes, I am an astrologer. I am the 60s. The psychedelic element of the 60s, okay, is really thought of as a joke today, okay? And that's one thing I want to bring back. British reviews of my book, often negative, would call my book psychedelic. I loved it, okay? The American reviewers completely missed this element. I am the psychedelic 60s. I never took acid. Everyone else did around me, let me tell you, all right?
But your book doesn't read as if it were written by Ken Kesey.
No, but it is. It's a psychedelic view of culture. It is. It's just like putting on like rose glasses or blue glasses or something. It's really strange. You put them on, whoa, Mona Lisa, we never saw this before, like this, all right? And then at the end, you go, whoa, it's like eerie, it's like the early Doors, it's like Strange Days. I was very influenced by the Doors, heavily influenced by rock music, all right? There's never been anything like this before. A woman as learned in the past, okay, or a person as learned in the distant past, classical antiquity, Egypt, name it, Renaissance art, and the present. I'm deeply immersed in television, rock music, you know, I'm a great football fan and so on. I live in the moment. I live here and now. Susan Sontag doesn't own a TV. I adore TV. I have the TV constantly on, okay? I am a creature of the mass media, absolutely. There's never been anything like this. This union of the two realms of experience, popular culture with you know, with the whole high art tradition.
Could you run through that again? I wasn't listening.
I know. No, right. That's astrology. I have been following astrology for 25
Cheap
years.
joke.
Absolutely. I believe in astrology.
So, of all the things that Nancy Reagan has been wrapped for, you would not at least wrap her for that?
No, I feel a kinship with her because of that. Absolutely. I applaud her.
Well, what if I tell you it's a lot of poppycock?
Well, you're an Apollonian Yalian then, that you see. That's why you didn't like opera. See, remember that? Yes.
Now that's a low blow.
Yes, it's a low blow. See,
All
opera
right.
is pure emotion. Okay, it's pure emotion. It's Dionysian. It's coming from the body. All right. And the point is, Yale in the old days used to teach you. In fact, they still teach you to like have a head like a balloon. Okay, it's an Apollonian balloon. There's nothing really below the neck. It's just like a talking head.
I think we had better let the viewer in on the fact that you're referring to something that you wrote about me once that was
it was just
negative.
In recent months.
I must admit you had a lot of nerve to admit it just before we went on the air.
I want to be absolved quickly.
And when we come back from this message, we're going to get into it good. Well, imagine that I'm holding up a book with sexual personae. Is that the right pronunciation?
Sexual personae, yes.
Yeah. Right here in bold letters. If you picture it in your mind, actually McLuhan thinks that'll make a more vivid image than if they actually looked at
image,
it.
Yeah.
Now, about your attacking me in print, I suppose you don't think I have the cojones to bring it up on television.
Wait, it was like about 15 years ago, 17 years ago you said this. You said opera. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Okay. And at that time you looked different.
Does
you
that
looked
sound
different.
like me?
You look different. Yes, and I felt that it was consistent with you. I told your head was larger. You see,
it was, yes.
And you were smaller. And
well,
now
I had a hairdo of that time.
And now, but no, everything about you. Now you've become. Then you began running, I think, or something after that. Didn't you begin running? It was something you became athletic.
This is incredible. Yes, I dropped about 15 pounds over the while there. And people wrote in and said, "Is he all right?"
You changed your body image.
I was taking a dance class and running at the same time, and I shed 15 pounds.
I can't imagine you dancing. What kind of dancing?
I happen to be a very fine dancer.
You have a Dionysian element that has never been seen on TV.
I took a... what is it about you that makes me want to listen to this? I was taking a class for Broadway dancers at American Dance Machine, and so I was sopping, worn down each day, but I never felt better. Yeah, but did I make such a Philistine remark as opera?
Yes. I don't get it, you said.
Well, I see in Nebraska I didn't have the opportunity to see that many operas. Since then, you'll be happy to know I've had some pleasurable times at operas, though I also left one in Vienna because I'd rather have seen the town than what was going on stage.
Yeah, because Italian opera is like, it's like pure voice, it's pure emotions coming from. And I see great connections between Italian culture and African American culture because of this, because music and song, these are the center of African American culture as well.
But how in what way did I fall in your esteem by saying that?
You didn't. No, it just that it seemed to be characteristic of the fact that it was just you had this Apollonian head at that moment, a Yale Apollonian head.
Oh, you do deal in categories.
No, I'm 60s. I believe in palmistry, body language, the shape of the body. You change the shape of your body. You see, you did after that. So your whole mindset changed. That means you could go to an opera after that.
But clearly something was wrong with my saying that at opera. You wouldn't have felt the need to apologize for it.
Well, the 60s, the effort of the 60s has been to integrate mind and body and emotion. And that was my aim, okay, to revolutionize new criticism and to join sex and history to it, all those things that were missing. And I was alone, apparently, trying to do this because everyone else in the 70s and 80s, all these nerds who are yuppies who are in control now in the Ivy League, went off to the French. They're like the French toadies. This was their answer, okay? And so now we have these stupid rationalist systems from Paris which pretend to be anti-rationalist, all right? And my answer is sexual personae. It took 20 years, all right? And that's only volume 1, by the way. Volume 2 is coming, and you have a better appearance in volume 2 with Katharine Hepburn and The Rug.
Oh, good. But if you were in my position, how would get you to answer my question directly, which is, what was it about my remark about opera that in somehow offended you, or at least put you off?
No, you simply were representative of the entire Yale tradition, because I had gone to graduate school at Yale, all right, and I felt it was, when I arrived there, here's an example, when I arrived there, everyone was into Mozart, Debussy was out, okay, you know, that sort of thing, right?
So was I predictable to you, or was I unpredictable, or was
No, it was predictable. It was, in other words, it was in the main line.
I was affecting lowbrowism.
It was in the main line of Protestantism. Of main line of American Puritan Protestantism.
Oh, I've been accused of a lot of things, but this is a novelty.
Yes, yeah.
Just as a possible change of pace for us.
Yeah.
You know, we all have nightmares of the guest who shows up and doesn't talk, and I must say you're the answer to that, among many things. Let's take a look at this clip from recent history.
Okay. All right.
Here it is.
All right.
Okay, Camille Paglia.
Yes.
That's all right, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. That, in case some of our viewers were just born, was Madonna.
Yes.
A lot of talk about that. Does it illustrate anything? Does it fit into your cosmos?
Yes. Well, I adore Madonna. I think she's like my double. And she's another member of a new creed I call Italian pagan Catholicism. Okay, it's brand new. I'll be writing about it in the future. Italian pagan Catholicism.
Pagan.
Yes, I believe what she has done is zero in on the pagan heart, the vestiges of paganism that are still in Italian and Spanish Mediterranean culture, and there's an eroticism, a sexuality or sensuality in Italian Catholicism that's now being purged out in the American church. They want to Protestantize themselves, make their churches look like warehouses. No more stained glass windows, no more bleeding Saint Sebastians. All that's gone. All right. But at any rate, I adore this video. It's a wonderful video, very artistic. It recalls the period of 50s and 60s art films, Jean Moreau and Catherine Deneuve and so on and so forth. But I believe MTV was correct to ban it. I don't think that it should be pumped out to children watching it. Not because it would pervert them, but on the contrary, it would make them jaded, because this is a very sexually sophisticated video, and I think that something should be left for the children to find naughty, okay, when they're older. If you give them this very sophisticated thing with transvestism and bondage and lesbianism and everything else, what's left for them to find naughty? It just makes them, it robs them of their sexual imagination. See, that's the problem.
But you don't take anything like the tired view that I suppose you would label it of the feminist who says that all that is another example of degrading women by a woman herself.
Yes, well,
I think Madonna was accused of that.
Oh, yeah. So this talk of degrading women and so on and so forth is the result of humorless, parochial minds. The feminists today are absolutely pedestrian, utterly pedestrian. I mean, they know nothing, all right? And I'm going to put an end to all that.
Can you generalize like that about a whole group?
Absolutely. Oh, the ones who have taken...
Well, you can. I just want to know.
There are many women who are feminists, okay, who are embarrassed to come forward because they don't want to be classed and ranked with these things. The now has been taken over, especially by these women. I mean, they really are. We look just so provincial from the European point of view. We should have a much more sophisticated view of sexuality than this. I'm for everything.
Should our goal to please the Europeans? Do we care what Paul Bourget thinks?
Certainly not. Absolutely not. I'm absolutely American to my core. I love America. I'm the first intellectual, by the way, to say that I love America. I'm the child of immigrants, so I know how fabulous it is here. Okay, all right. But I'm pro-pornography.
Intellectuals don't like America.
Oh no, absolutely. Oh, it's very chic to say America's this, America's that. Oh, this is how inept they are. They know nothing. They know nothing. All right. Okay. But I'm pro-pornography. Right down the line. Right down the line. Right to the last.
I think I'm usually a friend to pornography in the sense that I think it has a very good purpose.
Yeah. And I'm pro-prostitution as well.
Well, you won't lose me there either.
One of the highlights of my career was when a working prostitute wrote recently to the Village Voice to applaud my position. I was just thrilled with that. To me, I felt that was true success in my career. Yeah.
Well, let's find something we can disagree on just for fun, other than opera or anything. What about the rape victim's name flap that we are just gone through? Oh,
the date rape thing. Yeah. What an example of the prudery, okay, of American feminism. It's just absolutely appalling, the jargon, the crap that's in the air on this question, okay? Absolutely.
Can you separate the crap from the chaff for us now, or whatever, the gold from the...
I mean, but here's the point. The sexes have not changed, okay? The idea that somehow men are educable, totally, 100% educable, okay, in terms of always, being nice and sensitive and waiting for a woman to say yes or no, and so what a stupid view of sexuality that is, all right? Okay? Nothing has changed in the sexes. It's always been a courtship ritual, okay? It will always be a pattern of male seduction and female women deciding yes or no. Women will always have to take responsibility for their own safety, okay, right? You know what's happened is my generation went through of the 60s, all right? We're the ones who broke down the rules. When I arrived in college in '64, We still had those parietal rules. We were locked in the dorms, okay? 11 o'clock at night we had to be in, okay, and so on. We broke through all those rules. We sought sexual freedom. My aunts were warning me, don't be staying in a man's apartment, he might attack you, blah, blah, blah. We said, no, we'll take the risk, we'll take the challenge. We want to learn from life. Okay, now what's happened? 20 years later, we have these girls who got what we achieved, the total freedom, but now they're not sure what they want. They go to the man's room, and they don't realize they're taking a risk. We were willing to take the risk. If we got raped, hey, okay, dust yourself off and go on. I have not been raped, okay, because I'm very alert to the world. I see the world as filled with dangers. I'm very, I'm always on guard. And the thing is, this business about you can go to a fraternity house, have 11 tequilas, get dead drunk, go up to a guy's room, and think you're not giving signals. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely stupid.
Well, you may be giving signals, but isn't the question becomes, as Buckley would say,
yes.
Once you're there and feel you have earned this ability to be in a man's room, and maybe you enjoy his conversation, and the fact that you're there at 3 a.m. could be misinterpreted by the prudes you talk about. So,
yes.
But does that, how shall I say this, give him the right to pounce upon you and against your will have his way?
If you're playing with fire, okay, and you get burned, don't go crying to mommy and daddy, okay, all right? So I'm saying make a choice in life. Do you want to be perfectly safe? I'm not for that. I'm for the 60s. I'm saying go out, take the risk, and then if something happens to you, okay, don't go running and weeping and ask for protections and make a huge campus psychodrama out of it and so on and so forth. It's absurd, okay? It's absurd.
Well, suppose you weren't, let's turn it around. Suppose you weren't in a dangerous situation. Suppose you were with an old fuddy-duddy in the anthropology department who suddenly ripped off his clothes, knocked you down, held you down by the neck, squeezed you by the windpipe.
That would be real rape.
Pulled your pants off.
Real rape, cases of real rape that is attacked by a stranger or an acquaintance in a situation that is not sexual, where you're not on a date. So I feel this date rape thing is trivializing the real outrage of rape, where a woman is attacked in her bedroom by a burglar or on the street, in a parking lot, whatever, okay, all right? This sort of thing is muddying the waters. That Kennedy case down there, if the facts are reported as true, okay, this is going to be probably the end of a lot of this jargon anyway. Okay?
I hate to take a break right now, but we have to. We'll be right back.
Sure.
Sorry. I'm sorry we only have a few minutes left. It seems like in some ways you've been here for hours, and in other ways that you just got here. I'm talking to Camille Paglia, whose book, Sexual Personae, has struck the fan in several countries. Yes. But do you have a closing word on the subject of the Kennedy thing? We began to talk about whether the papers had the right to publish the woman's name. Did they violate her privacy? Did they treat her specially in some way?
Yeah. Well, I feel the Kennedy case, if the facts as reported are true, okay, is really trivializing the importance of rape. I mean, I think rape is an outrage. Real rape is an outrage. Okay. And this sort of thing, the Kennedy thing, okay, we have a girl meeting people at a bar, and just going back. Even Roxanne Pulitzer, for heaven's sakes, was saying that she would have said goodbye at the bar or at the door of her own home. If you have Roxanne Pulitzer saying she was acting unwisely, I mean, please, all right. But I think as far as reporting the names, if rape is such a sensitive matter, all right, that it would damage the woman to have her name reported, then both names should be withheld. I think it is quite unfair. There should not be any gender discrimination.
Somebody did write saying, what about the young man?
Yes, of course, he's being trashed. He's being trashed. Absolutely. Yeah,
but he had a career, possibly, and probably will, but who knows?
But in this case, reporting about her and not about the Central Park jogger, I think it still makes sense, because the Central Park jogger was unknown to New York City as a whole, but the name was out very much so in Palm Beach. It was and I agree that the Times or NBC, that they're not in the business of suppressing the news. They cannot make such judgments. Once it was generally known in the town it happened, I think it is worth reporting. But I think that both names should be withheld if one name is withheld.
Among groups you may have offended, have you offended the gay community in your?
Well, I am an absolute total supporter of it. My book talks about the male homosexual contribution to high culture in lavish detail. Lavish detail. In fact, my book may be the first University Press book not only to endorse astrology, but to endorse man-boy love. This has escaped the notice of many newspapers, many reviewers. I don't know why they didn't notice that. Okay, because this was a practice that was rational and honorable in ancient Greece and in ancient Rome. The leading poets were in love with boys and wrote love poems to them, which still survive, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to continue, like Madonna. Madonna's on the offensive right now as well, supporting male homosexuality. Now, lesbianism, I have more of a question about. I think lesbianism should be put back into the continuum of sexuality. I don't
see gay maleness and gay femaleness as exact counterparts of each other.
And they're not that counterparts at all. They're unrelated to each other. I was way out front on this, on the question of being an Amazon militant feminist 20 years ago. But I'm really unhappy with the separatist result of feminism, and I think that women have to stop just patting each other on the back and going back to dealing with men, even to fight them, even to defeat them. All right, deal with them.
Tell you that we're out of time, and the people are screaming. Ask her if she's married. Ask her if she's married. Can she live without a man?
All right. I'm a nun. I'm a nun.
All right. Well, I thank you for that's the first monosyllable you used in quite a while. Camille Paglia, thank you for being here. And a transcript of the show will be twice as long as the average. We'll see you next time. So long.